Dear shareholders, good evening. I am Manikandan Gopalakrishnan, the Company Secretary and Compliance Officer of the company. A very warm welcome to the 35th Annual General Meeting of the company. I would like to take you through the details pertaining to the participation at this meeting. All the members who have joined this meeting are by default placed on mute by the host to avoid any disruption or disturbance arising from the background noise and to ensure smooth and seamless conduct of the meeting. Once we commence the question and answer session, the moderator will sequentially announce the names of the shareholders who have registered themselves with the company. We request the speaker shareholders to limit their speech to 3 minutes. Upon being called, the moderator will give appropriate access to the concerned shareholders to speak. Before you commence speaking, please be mindful of the following. Use your earphones so that the narrative is clearly audible to all the participants. Remember to minimize the noise in the background. Ensure that you have a strong Wi-Fi connection and the same is not connected to any other device. Ensure that no other background applications are running on the device that you are connecting from. Remember to switch on the video and ensure that you have adequate background lighting at your place. If you are unable to join through video for any reason, would request you to kindly participate through the audio means. If the speaker shareholder has a connectivity problem, we will call on the next speaker to join. Once the connectivity improves, the speaker shareholder may be again called to speak, but only after the entire list of shareholders have spoken. During the meeting, any shareholder facing technical issues may kindly contact the helpline number provided in the notice convening the meeting. There are 7 resolutions which have been placed before the meeting for the approval of shareholders. These include 5 ordinary businesses and 2 special businesses. 6 of those resolutions are ordinary resolutions and the one is a special resolution. The Companies Act 2013 and SEBI regulations provide for electronic voting. Accordingly, the company has provided all the members with a facility to cast their votes through remote e-voting system administered by the link in time. The registers as required under the Companies Act 2013 and the ESOP certificate required under the Securities and Exchange Board of India Share-Based Employee Benefits and Sweat Equity Regulations 2021 are open for inspection in the electronic mode. Should you wish to inspect, please reach out to me at the email address mentioned in the notice convening this meeting. Facility to cast the votes at the meeting is available to those members who have not yet cast their votes through remote electronic voting system and are participating in this meeting. The voting system will be available during the meeting and for 15 minutes after completion of the meeting. Thank you for your attention. Now over to Mr. D.K. Mehrotra, Independent Director and Chairman of the company, to commence the proceedings of the meeting.
Thank you, Mani. Good evening, my dear shareholders. Hope you and your family members are safe and good health. On the behalf of the board, I extend a warm welcome to you on this 35th Annual General Meeting of the company. This is the 3rd Annual General Meeting of the company being held after the IPO, which has been conducted on OAVM mode. I am Dinesh Kumar Mehrotra, Independent Director of the company, joining from my home at Mumbai. I am the Chairman of the Board and the Chairman of the Corporate Social Responsibility Committee and a member of Audit Committee, Nomination and Remuneration Committee, and Risk Management Committee. I have been informed by the Company Secretary that the requisite quorum is present, and now I call the meeting to order. I request the directors who have joined the meeting to introduce themselves before we proceed further. I'll read out the names of the directors. Mr. Natarajan Srinivasan, Independent Director.
Good evening, shareholders. I am Natarajan Srinivasan. I am an Independent Director of the company, joining from my office in Mumbai. I am the Chairman of the Audit Committee and the Stakeholders Relationship Committee. I am also a member of the Risk Management Committee. Thank you.
Mrs. Vijay Lakshmi Rajaraman Iyer, Independent Director, Woman Director. You are on mute, madam. I think you are on mute.
Sorry. Good evening, shareholders. I am Mrs. Vijay Lakshmi Iyer, an Independent Director of the company, joining from my office in Dubai. I am the chairperson of the Nomination and Remuneration Committee and also Risk Management Committee. I am also a member of the Audit Committee and Corporate Social Responsibility Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. V.S. Rangan, non-executive, non-independent director.
Good evening, shareholders. I am V.S. Rangan. I am a non-executive, non-independent director of the company, joining from my office in Mumbai. I am a member of the IT Strategy Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Narendra Oswal, nominee director.
Good evening, shareholders. I am Narendra Ostawal. I am a nominee director of the company, joining from my office at Mumbai. I am the chairperson of the IT Strategy Committee, and I am a member of the Nomination and Remuneration Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sandeep Kagzi, nominee director.
Good evening. I'm Sandeep Kagzi. I'm a nominee director of the company, joining from my office in Mumbai. I'm a member of the Audit Committee, the Stakeholders Relationship Committee, and the Corporate Social Responsibility Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Anuj Kumar, managing director.
Good evening, shareholders. I am Anuj Kumar, and I'm the managing director of the company, joining this meeting from the corporate office of the company, which is located in Chennai. I'm a member of the Stakeholders Relationship Committee of the company, as also the CSR Committee and the IT Strategy Committee. Thank you very much.
Mr. Shesha Raman Ramcharan, Chief Financial Officer of the company.
Good evening, shareholders. I am Sesha Raman Ramcharan. I am the Chief Financial Officer of the company, joining the meeting from the corporate office of Chennai. Thank you.
Others participating in the meeting include Mr. L. Ravishankar and Mr. P. Babu, representative of Mrs. Brahmaya and Co. Chartered Accountants and Statutory Auditors of the company, and Mrs. Chandra, representative of B. Chandra, Secretarial Auditor of the company from their offices. Since the physical attendance of the shareholders is disposed with, the requirement of appointing proxies is not applicable. The registers and other documents as required under the Companies Act and the rules thereunder are open for inspection in electronic mode. Since the AGM is being held through audio-visual means and the resolutions forming part of the notice convening this meeting have already been put to vote through electronic voting, the practice of proposing and seconding of resolutions are not required and will not be followed at this meeting. Shareholders who are members of the company as on the cutoff date, that is 31st July 2023, have the right to vote pertaining to the resolutions mentioned in the notice. Shareholders who have not cast their votes earlier through remote e-voting can do so during the meeting through the remote e-voting facility. Now I request Mr. D.K. Mehrotra to deliver the chairman's message.
Thank you, Manikandan. Since the notice, director's report, and other documents have been circulated to the shareholders as part of the annual report, I take them as read. The details of the agenda items placed before the shareholders for approval is contained in the notice of the meeting, which is also available on the website of the company. Given that there are no qualifications, observations, adverse remarks, or comments by the statutory auditors in their reports on the financial statements for the financial year ended March 31st, 2023, or matters which have any adverse effects on the functioning of the company, with your permission, I now take that auditor's report is taken as read. A detailed chairman's message has been circulated as part of the annual report, which you had perused. As you would have noticed, this is our third AGM after the company has gone public. Your company has retained its performance levels and continued to make significant progress in operational excellence and customer satisfaction. Your company has successfully retained its dominant market share and continues to be the country's largest mutual funds RTA with a market share of almost 69%. It has also successfully geared up its people, processes, and systems to meet the increased requirements of the MF industry due to the growing volumes and complexity. During the year, your company has been appointed as a registrar and transfer agent for Herois and Navi mutual funds, further reinforcing its leadership position in the industry. Your company continues to notch up many wins in AIF industry, fortifying its leadership position in AIF RTS space. With cutting-edge technology and contemporary digital utilities, your company provides a full stack of investor onboarding, final accounting, and other services. I'm also glad to report that your company has received the in-principle approval from Reserve Bank of India for carrying out the business as a payment aggregator, which will further bolster its effort to grow the business. Your company has acquired a controlling stake in two startup entities, that is Fintable Technology Private Limited and Think Analytics Private Limited. These acquisitions nicely complement CAMS' existing offerings on AIF, KYC, and account aggregator space and further drive CAMS' vision of providing technologically superior products in the digital onboarding and in the existing and analytical space. There has also been significant progress as account aggregator and TSP combination, onboarding several marquee banks, broking houses, NBFCs, and wealth platforms. The insurance repository business saw improved traction with a more than 100% increase in e-insurance accounts opened and policies converted this year when compared to earlier year. Your company is guided by its core value of putting its customers at the center of everything it does. Our mission, your growth. Your company exited the year with a strong set of financial results and operational performance. Looking ahead, your company sees immensely opportunities to grow in its chosen areas of business and investing in the required skill sets and capabilities. Mrs. B. Chandran, associates practicing company secretaries have been appointed as the scrutinizer to scrutinize the votes cast at this meeting and in the remote e-voting. I am authorizing the company secretary to file the voting results within 2 trading days of the conclusion of this meeting with BSE and NSE. The results will also be uploaded on the website of the company and that of the RTA. Now I would invite Mr. Anuj Kumar, Managing Director, to deliver his message for the shareholders, make a presentation on the business highlights, and for taking the meeting forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mehrotra, and good evening, everyone. I will take you through a structured presentation on the performance of the company in the last financial year. Move to the next. As you're aware, the company is India's largest platform and services partner to the mutual funds industry. This is demonstrated by some of the key metrics that I'm talking about. We occupy a 69% share of the Indian mutual fund assets market. Market share, as you're aware, is expressed in this industry as a share of assets. Our total assets under servicing are at over 30 lakh crore or 30.7 trillion Indian rupees. 9 of the top 15 asset management companies are our clients, so we service them. If you look at our growing transaction volumes in the year under consideration, we did over 470 million, which is 47 crore transactions. And our total processing of monies, which is the sum total of what was paid into us and what we paid out, accumulates to over 152 trillion Indian rupees or 152 lakh crore Indian rupees. Next, please. I'll speak a little about our clientele. You can see that what you see to the center and to the left of the screen is essentially our key clients which existed at the beginning of the year. To this, we've added 5 new clients. It's perhaps our best year in history in terms of adding new clients. Navi Mutual Fund was a migration, and what you see at the right, the 4 names with the blurb new on top, which is Zerodha, Helios, Torosoro, and Angel One. 4 of these clients are new clients, new to the MF industry clients. It also demonstrates and vindicates our position as the preferred partner for new to market mutual funds coming into the industry in India. Next, please. Some of the key transaction and foundational metrics, because these define not just the shape of our business in the current year, but in terms of how it will pan out in the future. Our overall transaction volumes, as we said, are close to 465 million, so over 46 crore. This was a 12% sequential growth over last year. New SIP registrations. SIP is a vehicle through which money comes in and is a very popular vehicle in the industry. Over 15.3 million new SIPs were registered during the year, representing a 61% share of new SIPs. Our SIP book, the total number of SIPs that we deal with, grew 18% year on year to end up at 34.4 million. Our gross sales, this is the gross amount of money that comes in to the mutual funds that we service, was 75 trillion during the year, which is 75 lakh crore rupees. And both from a live folios and a unique investor account perspective, we grew 12% over the past year. So all significant, sustained, growing foundational metrics across the board. Move to the next. From an alternative perspective, we service over 400 funds. These are unique AIFs, PMSs, and family offices. Our assets under service are 1.75 trillion Indian rupees. Our digital sourcing platform, CAMS WealthServe, has now over 90 installations across the country and is growing, signing up at the rate of one every week. And we were the first RTAs to start a full stack operations for AIFs from the GIFT City. Move to the next. From a payment processing perspective, we operate under the brand CAMS Pay. You heard in the chairman's speech that we've got the in-principle license now from RBI to operate as a payment aggregator within a subsidiary of the group. We occupy over 50% market share in the mutual fund ecosystem in terms of recurring payments, which is a significant milestone for the company. Almost 40% of overall insurance NACH instances. And then you see that just in terms of overall NACH registrations, UPI auto-pay mandates registered, UPI is becoming a very popular mode of making recurring payments, especially in mutual funds. And then just in terms of bank accounts validated, significant and growing numbers across the board. Move to the next. From a KYC perspective, you know, it's a very important step across the capital markets and onboarding investors. We broadened our footprint from being a focused mutual funds player to broaden off and get fintechs and brokerages, which is stock brokerages, to be a part of our client stack. We now have over 17 million, which is just short of 2 crore, about 1.7 crore unique KYC records. And this is getting augmented at the rate of about 2 lakh or 2 lakh plus every month. From an insurance perspective, you know, we are one of the 4 insurance repositories, 40% market share, over 5 million e-insurance accounts, a little more than 5 million e-policy account, and these are both grown at the rate of 100% in the last 1 year. The first repository in India, the first insurance repository to bring out and industrialize an industry first customer deep tracing product, which is now commercially sold to insurance companies. We spoke a little about Think 360. This is our acquisition, which was announced in the month of March and then formalized and paid for in the month of April. Think 360 is a bootstrapped startup focused on the financial sector. You can see the 4 key products at the top, which are essentially an SMS parsing tool called Algo 360. We have one of the most popular video KYC tools in the country called Quick ID. We announced the 3rd large public sector bank client as Canara Bank, in addition to Central Bank and Bank of Baroda. And then between Flow Expert and Analytics are the 2 other large business lines. This complements us very nicely in running base analytics campaigns within the mutual fund base. And of course, Algo 360 is a complementary product to our account aggregator offering, which is growing by itself. In the account aggregator arena, you know that we were one of the first licensed account aggregators to be licensed by RBI to commence operations. We have one of the most downloaded account aggregator mobile apps in the country. As an RTA and as an AA, we've now been the first ones to take the Indian mutual funds live on the account aggregator framework. We have now over 80 enterprises onboarded on CAMS FinServe, and this number continues to grow. From a CRA perspective, we went live almost a year and a half back. We are the number 2 operators in the ENPS segment, which is a large direct-to-consumer segment. Our POP campaigns have begun, and now almost 48% of our overall fresh business in the NPS arena is now brought in through the POP partnerships. Next. I just wanted shareholders to take a look at our overall technology stack. The transformation of the company from being a service provider to mutual funds to an offering which is largely comprised of a technology platform, and it has multiple components. I'll not go through them through each of them, but you can see a very, very powerful offering stack comprising onboarding, analytics, eKYC, things like reconciliation, both financial and stock reconciliation, loan against mutual funds, significant number of proprietary algos for name matching, face matching, APIs for Aadhaar redaction, and a variety of transactional APIs, payments capability, chatbots, anti-money laundering checks. So this really encompasses the core elements of the overall tech stack. And the company's come a long way in the last 4 to 5 years in bringing all of this to kind of weigh in towards the success of the company. Move forward. From an overall financial numbers perspective, you've seen these numbers. I'll not dwell too long on these. Overall revenue of 9718 million Indian rupees. Profit before tax of almost 380 crore, little over that. Profit out of tax of 285 crore. And most importantly, when you see the return on net worth, which is just short of 40%, and the company has declared, subject to approval, an overall dividend of 375% for the financial year. A few more key metrics. Our total employee base is over 6,000 people, so about 6,443. From a woman diversity or gender diversity perspective, significantly diversified. Just short of 30%, the 29.5% women employee percentage matches quite well with the broader industry and compares with some of the companies which are treated as best in class. Significant investment on training hours for this set of 6,000 plus employees. Continue to focus on communities. Our gross CSR spend, you may have seen in the annual report, exceeded 6 crore rupees, almost 6.37. And amongst our CSR beneficiaries from the multitude of number of programs that we run in focus sectors, almost 6,500 people benefited from these programs. We also run an annual investor satisfaction survey, and from a very broad base of respondents, 45,000 plus respondents. It's a 4-year-old survey. Respondents continue to expand. A very, very healthy, over 96% people responding that they were either satisfied or very satisfied with the overall stack of services that CAMS has to offer. You may have seen some coverage on this both in the annual report and in our on our website. CAMS went live with the CAMS IIT Madras Fintech Innovation Lab called SIFL. This was inaugurated last year. The premises are now ready, and a few deep cut knowledge-based programs focused on improving our KYC and AML capabilities and assisting in making the deep tracing product for insurance more capable and just sharper in terms of its offering. That is the work that's going on in this lab as of now. And as we move forward, you may have noticed some of this. It's visible on our website. You've seen some of this in the press. CFO Ram Charan being felicitated as one of the best CFOs in the country in the small enterprise segment. We won the Banking Frontiers Award, the Technovity Award for 2023. Business World felicitated and recognized us for excellence in the HR arena, specifically for the building up and nurturing of employee communities. And then you may have also noticed that Think 360 was the only Indian firm to be recognized by Fintech Global as one of the top 100 AI fintechs anywhere in the world, not just in the country, but anywhere in the world, the only nominated company from India. We also won the ET Datacon Award for predictive analytics. And overall, the year was very, very satisfying from a perspective of awards recognition and business in general. With that, I come to the end of the overall presentation. I will now invite the shareholders who have registered themselves for participation in the Q&A session to begin with the questions. The moderator will announce your names and will unmute the mic. So the names will be announced, your mics will be unmuted so that you can then articulate your questions. I will hand over to the moderator now.
Thank you, sir. We will now begin the question and answer session. We have the first question from Madam Lekha. You may ask your question, madam, please.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Kindly ask your question.
Thank you, sir. Respected Chairman, sir, Board of Directors, and my fellow members, good evening to all of you. Myself, Lekha from Mumbai. First of all, I'm very much thankful to our company secretary, Mr. Manikandan ji, for extending very good investor services and also sending me the AGM notice well in time, which is full of knowledge, fact and figures in place. Thank you, Chairman, sir, for explaining us well about the company. Congratulations for excellent work, sir. Sir, I pray to God that He always shower His blessing upon you. Thank you, Anish Kumar ji, for such a informative and wonderful presentation. Chairman, sir, I would like to thank all the personnel of company for receiving awards and recognition by our plan during the year 22 and 23. And also, I am glad the company is doing very well in the field of CSR activities. Chairman, sir, I hope the company will continue video conference meeting in future, since link in time allowed to log in without any problem. I would like to thank them for their services, especially Rajesh sir, Preeti ma'am, and Prasant bhai. Chairman sir, I am confident that with your vision and determination, you will lead our company to greater height. And also, I pray to God our company should progress more and more under you and your team's work. Sir, I have a couple of questions. My first question is, what is the total number of employees? My second question is, how many women employees working in our company? So, I strongly and wholeheartedly support all the resolutions for today's meeting, and my best wishes always our company and its prosperity. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. We have the next question from Dr. Jadav Jamadar. Sir, you may ask your question now.
Yeah, sir, I hope I am audible and visible. Hello?
You are audible, yes.
Yeah. Chair. Good evening and greetings of the day to the respected chairman and all the board members. My name is Dr. Dharav Jamadar from Surat, Gujarat. First of all, I would like to congratulate each and every stakeholder of my company on performing tremendously well, outperforming the peers on various parameters and posting a robust and impeccable sets of number both on Q-on-Q and YOY basis. Sir, it is an honor and a privilege to get an opportunity to have an insightful conversation with you on this particular platform. Some of my questions which I would request you to address are: first, do you think that the higher marketing spends and regulatory audits continue to hamper the growth of PAT in this fiscal year too? Second, what are your views on the downward pressures on the yields is stemming from the repricing of AMC contracts to us? Third, how prepared is our company for SEBI's ongoing discussion to further rationalize mutual funds total expense ratios, which shall be having a significant influence on RTA's realizations? Fourth, falling ROE is a matter of concern. What steps is my company taking in particular for this particular aspect in this fiscal year? Fifth, keeping in mind that duopoly structure of the market in which our company is operating, high regulations and entry to barriers, What are the key or untapped areas which my company is exploring in the near future or for this particular fiscal year? Sixth, which segment of my company would be playing a significant role as the next leg of the growth of our CAMS? Seventh, what steps is my company planning to take for the well-being of its employees in this particular fiscal year? Thank you and good luck for the new fiscal year.
Thank you, sir. We have the next question from Mr. Ashok Daga. Mr. Ashok. Sir, you may ask your question now. Mr. Ashok, you may ask your question now.
Yes. Welcome. Members, I am Ashok Daga. I am calling from Bangalore. I have a few questions, and although it may seems to be negative, but I think that will be helpful in improving the style or functioning of my company. The first question is that the company has made commitment to the employee and its community, but company has not made any holders. I have could not find anything about you have in your presentation for this Zoom. I have seen that there is a community for community to employee, but there is for the shareholders. This is the first. Second, company is paying 2 crores of rupees interest. So on what the company is paying the interest, whether company has borrowed any or whether any deposit has been taken from someone, what the company is paying the interest. The third one is that the sales growth of the company since March 20, except in March 22, in a single digit and a very small amount, that is 0.55%, 1.8%, 7.5%, except in March 22, the 28.20% sales was there. So in the plan of the company to improve this sales growth of the company by inorganic growth, as that yes, a lot of organic and inorganic growth has been done by the company. So any future plan for making this growth in at least double-digit figure? Then next is the
Thank you, sir. We have the next question from.
Yes. Next, I continue.
Yeah, please.
Yes. So the ROC is also on the declining path for this.
There seems
the ROC has been declined to 40. So any reason for that? Similarly, the employees' costs have seen the increase, a drastic increase. In March 21, the employees' cost was 1.63%. In March 21, the employees' cost was 1.63%, and in March 22, it has moved up to 3.02%, and again in March 23, it has been declined, but it's still high, 2.27%. So these are the part of my questions, and I expect the positive response for all these things. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have the next question from Mr. Santosh Kumar Saraf.
नमस्कार, मेरी आवाज आ रही है ना सर?
Yes, sir.
माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, उपस्थित निदेशक मंडल के सदस्यगण, अधिकारीगण, कर्मचारीगण और मेरे जो शेयर होल्डर भाई बहन आज वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस के थ्रू प्रेजेंट है, मैं संतोष कुमार साहब कलकत्ता से आप सभी को नमस्कार करता हूँ। आशा करता हूँ इस समय आप सब अच्छे स्वास्थ्य होंगे सर। सर, मैं मैनेजमेंट उसकी टीम को धन्यवाद देता हूँ 37वां 75वां डिविडेंड देने के लिए सर। लेकिन सर लास्ट ईयर से एक का डिविडेंड कम है, तो क्या रीजन जरा बताइएगा, इस साल आप कम डिविडेंड क्यों दे रहे हैं? दूसरा सर, हम अपने उन कर्मचारियों को भी धन्यवाद देता हूँ जिनकी कड़ी मेहनत का फल है कि आज हमें कई अवार्ड्स मिले हैं। मैं उनसे कहूंगा कि आप इसी तरह करिए, काम करिए जिससे हमारी कंपनी को फ्यूचर में और भी अवार्ड्स मिले सर। सर, आपने लिखा कि आप 25 स्टेट और 5 यूटी में एट प्रेजेंट आप काम कर रहे हैं, तो सर अब कौन सा स्टेट बाकी है और उस स्टेट को कब तक आप कवर करेंगे, ये बताने का कष्ट करिएगा सर। एक सर, लास्ट ईयर से इस बार परमानेंट एम्प्लॉय कम हुए हैं आपके, इसका रीजन क्या है? बिजनेस एक्सपेंशन होता है तो एम्प्लॉय बढ़ते हैं, यहाँ आपको देखा 270 एम्प्लॉय परमानेंट कम हुए हैं और परमानेंट के बाद नॉन परमानेंट एम्प्लॉय है वो भी काफी कम हुए हैं। करीबन आपको 600 एम्प्लॉय नॉन परमानेंट कम हुए हैं, तो क्या रीजन है? क्या हम एक्सपेंशन में जाते हैं तो हमारे एम्प्लॉय ज्यादा होने चाहिए, तो क्या हम डिजिटल में फुल्ली जा रहे हैं जिससे हम एम्प्लॉय को छटाई कर रहे हैं? तो ऐसा कोई बात है तो जरूर बताइएगा सर। एक सर, आपके यहाँ 5 या 6 सब्सिडरी है, उसके अंदर अभी भी 2 सब्सिडरी लॉस में चल रही है। एक आपको अपनी जो फाइनेंशियल सर्विस की सब्सिडी है वो लॉस में है, एक फिनट्यूब जो टेक की है वो भी लॉस में, तो कब तक आप प्रॉफिट में आएगी, क्या कारण उनको लॉस में जाने का सर? सर, बाकी कैंप्स को मैं काफी दिन से जाता हूँ, काफी अच्छे काम करते हैं और काफी अच्छी सर्विस है। मुझे सिर्फ, मैं एक म्यूचुअल फंड एजेंट भी हूँ कैंप, इसलिए मैं एक चीज आपसे कहना चाहूंगा और रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहूंगा, मेरी एज भी हो गई सर, ये जो नॉन केवाईसी वाला प्रॉब्लम है सर, उसके अंदर हमें WR56 में जाके डाउनलोड करना पड़ता है जो कई बार पॉसिबल नहीं है सर। तो मैं चाहूंगा कि अगर आप जो नॉन केवाईसी क्लाइंट्स है वह डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को डायरेक्ट क्यों नहीं भेज देते कि इस म्यूचुअल फंड में आपके ये क्लाइंट है, इनकी नॉन केवाईसी नहीं है, तो उससे क्या डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को इजी होगा। अदर ये WR56 मैंने कई बार ट्राई की सर, पॉसिबल नहीं होते, तो ये लिंक में नहीं जाके जैसे आप स्टेटमेंट भेजते हैं ब्रोकरेज का, उस तरह उनको भेज दीजिए कि भी ये नॉन केवाईसी इनको कंप्लाइंट्स करिए सर। मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट, और जो ज्यादा मैं नहीं कहूंगा सर, काफी अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं और आपने ECG में भी काफी अच्छा काम किया, मैंने देखा है आपने बहुत अच्छा, मतलब क्या वुमेन एम्प्लॉय भी 29% है। आशा करता हूँ फ्यूचर में भी ये इनकी परसेंटेज जरूर बढ़ेगी और मैं चाहूंगा इनकी बढ़ाइए, क्योंकि देश को तीसरी महाशक्ति बनाना है तो हमें वुमेन को ज्यादा देर एम्प्लॉयमेंट देना पड़ेगा सर। लास्ट में ये कहूंगा, BC की मीटिंग काफी अच्छी होती है सर, इसमें बाहर वाले शेयर होल्डर भी है वो अटेंड कर सकेंगे, अदरवाइज क्या सिर्फ चेन्नई वाले को अटेंड करने का मौका मिलेगा और बाहर वाले शेयर होल्डर है वो अपने मन की बात नहीं कर सकेंगे। जब आपने IPO निकाला तो कहीं ये नहीं कहा कि चेन्नई वाले को अपने आप IPO में माल देंगे, बाहर वालों को नहीं देंगे। तो आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है सर, डिजिटल का जमाना, अगर फिजिकल मीटिंग करते भी हैं तो उसके साथ में 15 से 20 मिनट का ऑप्शन रखिए जिससे बाहर वाले शेयर होल्डर अपने और अपने कर्मचारी के प्रति आभार प्रकट कर सके। ज्यादा समय न लेते हुए आप जितने भी डायरेक्टर, जितने भी अधिकारी और जितने भी कर्मचारी आज वीडियो कंपनी के थ्रू प्रेजेंट है, उनके परिवार को फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2023 से 24 की शुभकामना देता हूँ और भगवान से प्रार्थना करता हूँ, भगवान फाइनेंशियल 2023 और 24 हमारी कंपनी के लिए और हमारे जितने भी लोग हैं उनके लिए हेल्दी वेल्दी और प्रॉस्पेरिटी के साथ व्यतीत हो। और मैं लिंक इन टाइम का भी धन्यवाद करता हूँ, काफी अच्छे मॉडरेटर सर और काफी अच्छी सर्विस है, इनको भी मेरा आभार प्रकट करता हूँ। जय हिंद जय भारत, समय देने के लिए नमस्कार जी।
Thank you, sir. We have the next question from Mr. Kaushik Shahuka. Sir, you may ask your question, please.
Yes, sir. I'm honored to have the opportunity to address you all today and would like to
Mr. Kaushik, your audio is a bit low.
Yeah, I'm audible now.
Yes, you are.
I am honored to have the opportunity to address you all today and would like to express my gratitude to the board of directors for
Mr. Kaushik, still your video is not coming out clearly. Sorry, audio is not coming out clearly.
my audio as a possible.
You could try switching off the video and then speaking.
Now,
Still lower, Mr. Kaushik.
so I'm sending you my questions by email. If possible, to answer the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaushik. We have the next question from Mr. Dipankar Purkasthya. Mr. Dipankar, kindly ask your question.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So thank you for the opportunity. I've got a couple of questions, suggestions. Number one, your note 19 in the consolidated accounts, which gives the breakup of revenue from operations, is not very helpful for understanding the company's business and future growth. I would request you to give the breakup of revenues for operations from the different streams. 1, mutual funds, 2, AIF/PMS, 3, insurance repository services, 4, account aggregator services, 5, NPS, 6, KYC, and finally, software and others. You do give a breakup of figures on page 32 of the annual report, but that is not sufficient. So I would request you to redesign this particular note on these lines. Second question is, what is our market share in PMS AIF space? Question number 3 is regarding insurance repository. How do you view DigiLocker as a competitor in this space? I remember there was a lot of talk about educational certificates, dematerialization and repositories. And then finally, the DigiLocker came and the whole thing died a death. So how do you view DigiLocker as a threat to this particular business? Fourth, your mutual fund central site, you can't access display investments which are held in DMAT form. It's very unfortunate that the Indian mutual fund industry, there is a sharp vertical divide between DMAT accounts and non-DMAT accounts. The long-term trend, I believe, is that more and more people are going to shift to DMAT mode. And if you continue with the mutual fund central in the present mode, where there is no possibility of performing non-financial transactions and raising service requests through this platform, if the mutual fund investment is held in DMAT form, will, I believe, ultimately stunt your growth. I think you and the depositories need to sit down together and talk, if necessary, involve SEBI and work out a solution so that this divide between DMAT and non-DMAT is broken. And secondly, in Mutual Fund Central, you can allow Android people to download the app. But what about iOS? I don't find any sign of an iOS app. Question number 5, what are the reasons for the decline in margins this year? Your operating profit margins have come down from 37.8 to 34.8. And I would also request, somebody had, one of the previous shareholders had spoken about employee costs. I would request you in your annual report to please give business per employee and profit per employee so that we can keep track of these parameters. Sixthly, turnover rates for your employees are much higher than even IT service companies. If you have 69% market share and there is a duopoly in this business, either they work in your company or they work in your competitor, given that, why do you have such high attrition rates? And finally, one of the previous shareholders had alluded to the recent paper which SEBI had brought out on expense ratios. They have, of course, withdrawn it temporarily. But I think the fundamental philosophy is very clear of SEBI. that they would like the benefits of scale to go to the unit holder, the people who actually and directly invest in the schemes, and not to the other stakeholders like the shareholders of those AMCs or the service providers like CAMS. So given this philosophy, which is unlikely to change, how do you review the future yields to CAMS? So those are my questions. Thank you for the opportunity and good evening.
Thank you, sir. We have the next question from Madam Celestine Elizabeth Mascarenhas.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible and visible. Kindly ask your question.
Thank you, thank you. Respected Chairman, Mr. Dinesh Kumar Mehrotra, MD, Mr. Anuj Kumar, other members of the board, my fellow shareholders attending this virtual meet, I am Mrs. C.E. Mascarenhas. I am attending from Mumbai. First, I thank the company secretary Mani Kundan Gopal Krishnan and his team for sending me an e-annual report. Of course, I would prefer a physical. Being a senior citizen, my eyesight gives me a lot of trouble. But anyway, I could little pick up many things, and I will ask some questions on them. Thank you very much, secretarial team, for sending me this link and registering me as a speaker. Our annual report is good, full of pictures also, facts and figures, and also self-explanatory, adhering to all the norms of corporate governance. Our working is very good. Of course, it is little lesser than last year because our dividend is lesser than last year, but we are zero debt and good cash balances. That is a plus point. Then next, I congratulate for all the awards and accolades, all in 54 page, and keep it up. Our CSR work is very good. Now my queries. My first query is on the ESG front. Have we done any rating of the ESG? And if rated, what is our score? And are we planning or have already put on some listed on some ESG platform, either domestic or international? Please throw some lights. My next question is CAMS Rep, CAMS KRA, CAMS FIS, SSPL, CAMS Pay, FinTEPL, Think 360, Think 360 AI. My question is, which are these are very popular, where our market share is very high, and how much revenues we are getting in all these, which is the highest, and where is the margin highest? Next question is, CAMS is India's largest RTA for mutual funds with 69% of the total mutual fund. I would like to know who is the next after CAMS. We have more than 200 funds. How do we work on some AI or something? How do we manage the working? Do we do PMS, and how much revenue we receive from this business? 40% of market share is in insurance repository business is with more than 5.2 million policies held. How much income we get from this type of business? Our total employee is 6,443 plus, out of which 29.46% are women. Now my question is, how many are or percentage physically and mentally challenged employees? Next is, we have 800 IT team strength. What is the attrition level in this sector? Do they use AI, ML, blockchain, cloud computing, chat GPT, and how much spend is done on all these tools? Another is, that is like, I am also very much hit with it. As per the government directive, dividend not encashed for the 7th year and also the units not claimed for 7 years, will it go to the IEPF fund? So my request is, see, most of the senior citizens are not able to go online, see website, including me. So such people, I request you, because this is hard earned money of the investors. And these are, we had put when there was no IT computers, at least myself, I have put about 30 years back. That time we didn't even have a demat and all those things. And now we are suffering like anything because we find very online to do KYC also. So in this case, now I get a constant email. I have registered my email. I get constant reminder, please do nomination. CAMS, please do your nomination. But no details are not given. So how I go about, because I have got so many, and if you could help me in knowing, because these are long back and I don't know what things are going. So as a caretaker for the small people, and especially senior citizen who at the sunset of their life, they really require this help from you, you know. Your IT, when I read, it is very far, but I would not understand anything. So you should give us some sort of help for investors like me. Maybe there will be so many like that, but they may not come and involve. So this is my request. At least try to give sort of some support, especially to the people who are above 70. And as it is, mind wise also they are little down. So you should give whatever support, give them the record of the whatever. And if it is KYC is not there, help them to do that KYC, you know. Means keep them at least informed before you send to some fund and all. That is my request. Rest, I don't have anything to say. I find this is a very, very far-sighted IT company, and the sky may be the limit for this company. When I read it, I was really feeling, you know, I being senior and not much this with the computers, because we never had in our small age computers. So all those who got educated and all before 80, we had no exposure at all. So even though we were qualified, we have become now as though we are not educated. We have landed up in such a state. So I request you all, be very helping type to the seniors so that they get their money for their medicines and operations and all in this old age, because we don't have any social security. This is the money which we had kept, and the systems have changed. So we are finding a lot of hassles. With this, I support all the resolutions, and I wish my company entire team best of health, and may we grow in strength to strength. With this, thank you so much. May God bless our company. Namaskar.
Thank you, ma'am. We have the next question from Mr. Umang Ajay Panasari. Mr. Umang, you may ask your question now. Mr. Umang, your audio is not clear. Mr. Umang, we cannot hear you.
Am I audible? Sir, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are audible now.
Yes, sir. My question is that as our main source of income is from the mutual fund industry, its transactions that are going on the huge space. So as we are seeing that the ETFs are growing at a much higher speed. So is there any threat to our company from the ETFs? So as I have studied something about ETFs, that I think ETF can damage the revenue of our company. So I want to know about it. Thanks.
Thank you. That is all from the speaker section. We shall rejoin shortly after a break to answer the questions raised. Thank you.
Rajiv, we have started the video and the broadcast, huh?
Yeah.
டீச்சர்ஸ் சார் அப்புறம் ஹெச்எம்ஸ் அப்புறம் என்னுடைய குடும்பத்தில் இருக்காங்க என்னுடைய ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸு ஊரில் இருக்கவங்களாம் ரொம்ப என்னை பாராட்டினாங்க. அதனால சுடர் மற்றும் கேம்ஸ் நிறுவனங்களுக்கு நன்றி.
CAMS and EFI came together in the restoration of freshwater bodies across Coimbatore and Chennai. We have revived the Panayantangal in Chennai. We have also revived and restored the Kalampar Kuttai in Coimbatore. How can we stop with these two projects? We took on the task of restoring a critical water body at Karanipet in Chennai. Western Chennai receives the rainfall and has several storage pockets which store the water and they further drain into Kuvam Adayar. This is a water story that almost everybody in Chennai knows about. But several small water bodies such as Karanipet, located in regions such as Vallakotai, Sriperumbudur, Vallam and more, are fast turning into leveled land parcels for urban expansion. That is why restoring these water bodies in the western periphery of Chennai is critical to manage floods. It's critical to enhance water storage for Chennai. CAMS and EFI, along with the district administration of Kanchipuram, took on the task of reviving and protecting the Karanipet Lake, a flat water body that was deepened where necessary, its embankments raised and strengthened, which meant that this water body is now capable of holding almost 32% more water. Nesting islands made with retaining the native vegetation also meant that the habitat characteristics of this water body are well protected. Regulatory canals from the foreshore to the offshore region meant water is now reaching newer pockets in the lake where it didn't drain into in the past. This regulated inlet-outlet characteristics, strengthened embankments, deepened water body, nesting islands, percolation trenches and recharge wells have all come as a blessing for an otherwise neglected water body. Protective fencing along its outer periphery to keep away antisocial elements or any kind of encroachment and garbage dumping is to further create lines of defense for the water body to retain its habitat characteristics. The Karanipet Lake restoration is also unique in one other way. This is part of the ambitious Amrit Sarovar effort where water bodies are being created and protected across the country to mark 75 glorious years of a free India. from gaining importance into such an ambitious effort to being that water body that is here to support Chennai in more ways than one. The Karanipet Lake restoration is a unique collaboration between the government, the corporate and the civic society. We thank the Kanchipuram District Collector and her extended team for supporting us in this effort. We also thank CAMS for funding EFI in several such unique projects. We thank the local villages of Vallam, Karanipet and Vallakotai who've actively volunteered with us in water bodies in the region.
சின்ன வயசுல இருக்கும்போது இந்த ரோடு வந்து சிங்கிள் ரோடு தான் இருந்தது. இப்போ ஒரு 10 ஆண்டுக்கு அப்புறம் நல்ல பெரிய ரோடு ஆயிடுச்சு, 6 வழி பாதை ஆயிடுச்சு.
காரணிப்பேட் ஏரியோட ஒரு சில பகுதிகளில் பால் செடி நிறையா இருக்கும், கரை பலவீனமாக இருக்கும், கரை ஃபுல்லாக கருவேல மரம் இருக்கும், பராமரிக்கப்படாத நிலையில தான் இருந்தது. பருவ காலங்களில் பெஞ்ச பெரிய மலைகள்னாலையும் உள்ளே வந்த தண்ணினாலையும் நிறையா வண்டல் மண் படிஞ்சு ஏரியோடைய கொள்ளளவு ரொம்ப கம்மியாக இருந்தது. நம்ம இஎஃப்ஐ அதை ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணி அதை ரெஸ்டோர் பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்னு முடிவு பண்ணோம். கரைகளில் இருந்த கருவேல மரங்கள், உள்ளே இருந்த பால் செடி இது எல்லாத்தையும் ஃபுல்லாக கிளியர் பண்ணி உள்ளே இருந்த அந்த படிஞ்சிருந்த மண் எல்லாத்தையும் சிட்டு எல்லாத்தையும் எடுத்து கரையில் போட்டு கரை பலவீனமாக இருந்த கரையை 2 மடங்கு 3 மடங்கு அதிக பலமுள்ளதாக நம்ம உருவாக்கியிருக்கோம். தண்ணி ஒரு பக்கம் மட்டும் இருந்த தண்ணியை பரவாயில்ல எல்லா இடத்துக்கும் ஏரியோட எல்லா இடத்துக்கும் கொண்டு போகணுங்கிறதுக்காக நம்ம அங்கங்கே மரத்தை சுற்றி தீவுகள் மாதிரி பண்ணோம். ஏரிக்கு தண்ணி வரக்கூடிய அந்த வழியை சரி பண்ணி அதோட முன்பகுதியில் மட்டுமே நின்றாம டீப் பாக்கெட் வரைக்கும் தண்ணி போடணுங்கிறதுக்காக அந்த வாய்க்கால கடைசி வரைக்கும் கொண்டு போய் நம்ம விட்டோம். நகரமயமாதல் அதிகமாக இருந்ததுனால குப்பை கொட்டுறது அதிகமாக நடந்துட்டு இருந்துச்சு. எந்த பகுதி மக்களால் ஆக்சஸ் பண்ண முடிகிற பகுதியாக இருந்ததோ நம்ம அங்கே ஃபென்ஸ் பண்ணி ப்ரொடெக்ட் பண்ணியாச்சு. ஸோ இப்போ அந்த ஏரிக்கு குப்பை கொட்டுறதுக்கான வழி இல்லை. நம்ம இவ்வளோ வேலை பார்த்ததுனால மழைக்கு அப்புறமா பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஏரியோட கொள்ளளவு கூடி இருக்கு. தண்ணி ஒரு பக்கம் ஒரு பகுதியில் மட்டும் இருந்தது, அந்த ஏரியோட முழுமைக்கும் பரவி பார்க்குறதுக்கே ரொம்ப அழகாக இருந்தது. இந்த மாதிரி ஏரியை தூர் வர்றதுனால அந்த சுற்று வட்டாரத்தில் இருக்கிற பறவைகள், விலங்குகள் இது எல்லாத்துக்கும் ஒரு நல்ல நீர் ஆதாரமாக இருக்குது. இந்த ஏரியாவோட நிலத்தடி நீர் மட்டும் உயர்ந்திருக்கு.
Let's celebrate every single drop of water through lakes such as Karanipet.
Thavani, a village in the Peranamallur block of the Thiruvannamalai district in Tamil Nadu. There are a number of hamlets here. We see children playing around mud houses with thatched roofs under the canopies of trees. The main occupation here is daily wage agriculture labor. Amongst the mud constructions and agricultural fields, there is a concrete building with the inscription Temple of Knowledge.
இந்த தவணி என்ற கிராமம் வந்து அடிப்படை வசதிகள் மிக குறைவாக காணப்படக்கூடிய பள்ளி. இந்த பள்ளியில் எங்கள் மாணவர்களுக்கு வசதி வாய்ப்புகள்லாம் வந்து மிக குறைவாக உள்ளது.
Supported by CAMS, eVidyaloka runs the digital classroom program in this school with the help of SWAD. Volunteer teachers located in faraway cities teach in the regional language using the two-way live interactive classroom.
இந்த ஆன்லைன் மூலமாக எங்கள் மாணவர்களுக்கு வழங்கக்கூடிய ஆசிரியர்களும் அமெரிக்கா, ஜெர்மனி, இங்கிலாந்து, இன்னும் சில பெங்களூரு, சென்னை இப்படி நகரங்கள்ல இருந்து எங்கள் குழந்தைகளுக்கு தேவையான அடிப்படையான கல்வியை மிக சிறப்பாகவே அவங்களுடைய அந்த என்ஜிஓ நிறுவனம் வந்து சிறப்பாக செய்து கொடுத்து இருக்கிறது.
For a rural place like Tabani, where most of the people are engaged in agriculture and daily wages work, the children of the next generation needs education. I had interest in teaching right from my 10th grade or so. But then I was not able to end up in a full-time career that is related to teaching. So I had this opportunity with the Vidyaloka to teach the children. Initially I had too many issues in dealing with kids. But then as time went on, I was able to sense a lot of changes in my character and also how I deal with people.
கணித செயல்பாடுகள், அடிப்படை செயல்பாடுகள் அனைத்தும் வந்து நல்ல முறையில் அதில் மாணவர்களுக்கு இன்ட்ராக்ட் பண்ணி நடத்திருக்காங்க. ஆங்கிலம் வந்து பேசிக் கிராமர், அடுத்து வந்து பொனட்டிக் சவுண்ட்ஸ் ஆக்ஷனோட நடத்திருக்காங்க. பிள்ளைங்க ரொம்ப நல்லாவே என்ஜாயாக பயன்படுத்தினாங்க. இடையிடையே வினாக்கள், கேம்ஸ் இதெல்லாம் நடத்தினாங்க. கொஞ்சம் பிள்ளைங்க சோர்ந்து போகிறாங்கன்னா அந்த நேரத்தில் ஃபன் ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸ் அதெல்லாமா நடத்தினாங்க.
Basically, I have come from a background where classrooms are actually driven by fear. I always wanted a classroom which is not driven by fear, which is more like a safe space to me, where I can pitch in my ideas, where I can ask my questions without the fear of being judged. Basically a non-judgmental space. But then I did not get one, but I always wanted to create one.
அது நிறைய நல்லா இருந்தது. கிளாஸுங்கிறப்போ நம்ம நேரடி வகுப்பை விட பிள்ளைங்க வந்து ரொம்ப ரசிச்சு பார்த்தாங்க.
மை நேம் இஸ் லோகேஷ். இந்த ஆன்லைன் கிளாஸ் மூலமாக எனக்கு நிறைய பயன் இருக்குது. இங்கே மேக்ஸ் தெரியாதல கற்றுக்கினேன், இங்கிலீஷ் கொஞ்சம் நல்லா பேச கற்றுக்கினேன். எது சொல்கிறாங்களோ இந்த கிளாஸ் வர்றது எனக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிக்குது. ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ்லாம் ஜாலியாக பார்க்குறாங்க.
எங்களுடைய சிலபஸ்க்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரி நாங்கள் வந்து பாடப்புத்தகத்தில் இருக்கிறது நடத்துகிறோம். எங்களுக்கு பாடப்புத்தகம் தேவையில்லை, பேசிக் நாலேஜ் நீங்கள் கொடுங்க. இங்கிலீஷை பொறுத்தவரையில் அதுதான் நமக்கு பிள்ளைங்க ரொம்ப இது வந்து கிராமம், பின்தங்கிய கிராமம் இந்த இடம். அதில் வந்து ஒரு ஆங்கிலத்தில் பேசுறதுக்கு அது மாதிரிலாம் ஸ்பீச் பண்ணுங்க. அவங்க சிம்பிளாக சென்டென்ஸ் ஃபார்ம் பண்ணுறதுக்கு எல்லாமே பண்ணாங்க. பிள்ளைங்க ரொம்ப தமிழில் சொல்லிடுவாங்க, ஆங்கிலத்தில் பிள்ளைங்க இது பண்ணுவாங்க.
மை நேம் இஸ் கீர்த்திகா. ஐம் கம்மிங் ஃப்ரம் மேல்பாளையம். ஈவித்தியலோக்கால நாங்கள் இங்கிலீஷ் தெளிவாக பேச கற்றுக்கிட்டோம். கொஞ்சம் எனக்கு இங்கிலீஷ் அவ்வளோ வராது. இப்போது ஈவித்தியலோக்காலேருந்து நாங்கள் கற்றுக்கிட்டோம். எங்களுக்கு அனுபவ மேம்னா ரொம்ப பிடிக்கும்.
அவங்க வந்து நவுன், ப்ரொனவுன், அட்ஜெக்டிவ், வேர்ப் இந்தமாரி நிறைய சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்க.
கணிதமும் அதே மாதிரி தான், நிறைய அந்த டிஎல்எம் அதுலேயே பயன்படுத்தினாங்க, செஞ்சு காமிச்சாங்க. ஆனால் இப்போ பின்னங்கள்லாம் இருக்கிறப்போ ரொம்ப ஹார்டான ஒரு சப்ஜெக்ட். அந்த பின்னங்கள்லாம் வந்து டயக்ராம் வரைஞ்சி அதை பிரித்து காமிச்சு இது பண்ணுறப்போ ரொம்ப பிள்ளைங்களுக்கு நேரடியாக கற்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு பயன்.
To act as an extended arm of the volunteer teachers, a person from the locality is recruited, trained and employed as the class assistant.
அந்த ஆன்லைன் கிளாஸில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th எல்லா பிள்ளைங்களுக்குமே வந்து நாங்கள் ஆன்லைன் கிளாஸ் எடுக்கிறாங்க. இங்கிலீஷ் அண்ட் மேக்ஸ், சயின்ஸ் இது மட்டும் இல்லாமல் எக்ஸ்ட்ரா கரிக்குலரிட்டிஸ் எல்லாமே வந்து ஈவித்தியலோகம் மூலமாக வந்து எங்கள் குழந்தைங்களுக்கு வந்து சொல்லி கொடுக்குறாங்க. இது மூலயமா வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கிராமப்புற மாணவர்கள் வந்து இந்த மாதிரியான வகுப்புகளையும் வந்து அவங்க பார்த்துருக்க மாட்டாங்க. இந்த ஓவிய போட்டி, நடனம், பேச்சு போட்டி, சயின்ஸ் டே இது மாதிரி நிறைய விஷயங்கள் பண்ணியிருக்கிறாங்க. அதே மாதிரி பார்த்திங்கன்னா என்எஸ்ஐசி ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி அதில் வந்து ஜெயிச்சும் இருக்காங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் ஐசிஓன்னு ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்ட் பண்ணியிருந்தாங்க, அதுலேயும் வந்து வின் பண்ணியிருந்தாங்க. அவங்களுக்கு வந்து இதுக்கும் மேலே வந்து நிறைய வந்து கற்றுக்கணும் அப்படின்றது வந்து என்னோட ஆசை.
Me teaching them is one part. I have learned a lot of things from them. Right from the questions they ask, from the stories they tell, from the experiences they share, a lot of things that happen inside the classroom itself is a great learning for me, and I have evolved a lot as part of this process.
எனக்கு என்ன யூஸ் அப்படின்னும் போது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, எனக்கு வந்து இந்த சிஸ்டமே வந்து ஆன் பண்ண தெரியாது. அப்போ புதுசில் வந்து இப்போ வந்து நான் ஒரு 3 வருஷமாக வந்து ஒர்க் பண்ணியிருக்கேன் இதில் எப்படி ஆன் பண்ணுறது, எப்படி ஒர்க் பண்ணுறது அப்படின்றதெல்லாம் வந்து நான் கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமாக வந்து கற்றுக்கிட்டேன். ஃபோன் கூட எனக்கு யூஸ் பண்ண தெரியாது அதுக்கு முன்னாடி. இங்கே வந்த புதுசில் வந்து ஃபோன் கூட கிடையாது என்கிட்ட. அதுக்கப்புறமா தான் வந்து நான் புதுசாக வாங்கி யூஸ் பண்ணவே ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கேன். என்னுடைய இதுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா நானுமே வந்து இதுல ஒரு ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் மாதிரி கத்துட்டு இருக்கேன்னு சொல்லலாம். இதனால வந்து எனக்குமே நல்ல யூஸ்ன்னே நான் சொல்லுவேன். தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச்.
அதனால இது ஒரு வரவேற்கத்தக்க ஒரு நிகழ்ச்சி. இந்த இடத்துக்கு ஒரு மாணவர்களுக்கு பயனுள்ள ஒரு நிகழ்ச்சி. தொடர்ந்து இருந்தா நல்லா இருக்கும். நல்லாவே பண்ணியிருக்கிறாங்க.
Teaching feels like a very soul satisfying thing, and for the past 1 month these kids have gone to summer holidays and my life feels suddenly void.
நான் வந்து இந்த பள்ளியில் தான் வந்து நான் படித்தேன். இந்த பள்ளியிலேயே படித்து இந்த பள்ளிக்கே வந்து வேலைக்கும் வந்திருக்கேன். என்னோட டீச்சர், எனக்கு சொல்லி கொடுத்த டீச்சர்ஸ் வந்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா இங்கே இருக்காங்க. இன்னும் 2 ஆசிரியர்கள் வந்து இந்த பள்ளியிலேயே வேலை செஞ்சுட்டு இருக்காங்க. அப்படின்னும் போது எனக்கே ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக இருக்குது.
எங்கள் மாணவர்களுடைய கல்வி நலனில் என்றும் அக்கறை உள்ள இந்த நிறுவனத்திற்கு எங்கள் பள்ளியின் சார்பாக மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகளையும் வாழ்த்துக்களையும் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
Teaching Evidyaloka and these kids have become a part of my life now. How to say is, without the kids, my daily routine seems like stuck.
With access to quality education, the children of Thavani would scale great heights.
Hi, good evening, everyone. We will be answering questions posed by shareholders now. We've recorded all the questions, so we'll answer all of them. If I miss something, the miss would be inadvertent. We will go in the order of the shareholders and in the order that the questions were asked in. Starting from the first, the overall employee count was sought. The overall employee count, as you saw in the presentation, was over 6,400 employees, with about 29.5% of women employees. There was a question on marketing and regulatory spends. Are they growing, and do they have an impact on the profits and the PAT of the company? Marketing and regulatory spends have grown in the past year because of us getting stronger and larger in B2C businesses, which need some degree of marketing spends in terms of getting in new consumers. And regulatory requirements continue to go up because CAMS, as you know, across our businesses is governed by the 4 different financial services regulators. Regulatory requirements continue to expand, and therefore the regulatory cost does expand and have some impact. On the question of yields in mutual funds, as you know, our pricing is a tiered pricing, which means mutual funds, as they expand in size, buy our services for a slightly lower amount every year or every second year. Therefore, you will see, and you've seen in the past, some small compression on yields, but that is always when the size of the mutual fund expands. In terms of the regulatory consultative paper on TERs and later the plan to introduce a regulation, there is now a fresh consultative paper out. The understanding is right that the benefits of scale are expected to be passed on to the consumers. All industry participants are viewing this closely and will be responding the regulator over a period of time. So that is the current status on the overall requirement to reconsider and re-engineer TERs and mutual funds. On the topic of falling return on equity, typically, as you know, every year, what happens is that out of our net profit and cash flows, 65% of the amount is paid away as dividend. The balance 35% remains. The 35% then adds to the overall capital and the net worth. And therefore, as a percentage, even though our absolute profits are expanding, you've seen absolute profits expand, but as a percentage, because the denominator is growing, you will see some small fall in return on equities. On the question around duopoly in the industry, yes, some form of duopoly exists. On our focus areas, the focus areas for your company include expanding, of course, our market share and our size in the mutual funds arena. But in the non-mutual fund area, our alternatives business that we spoke about, account aggregator, payments, KRA, insurance repository, and the business done by Think 360, of course, within alternatives, including the Fintuple business. Those are the key 6 focus areas which will define growth in the non-mutual fund business. In the mutual funds business, of course, it is obvious that we will continue fighting for share, for new entrants, and for growth. What are we doing? There was a question on what are we doing for the well-being of employees. For the well-being of employees, there are a variety of programs being run for the well-being of employees. To de-stress employees at the workplace, there is this entire work which you saw being recognized by Business World also around creating and empowering employee communities. There are many, many rewards and recognition programs. There are well-defined leave policies. There are medical covers, and there are various other things that are offered to employees in order to de-stress themselves and to look after their welfare and well-being. There was a question on, I'm just following through, there was a question on commitment made to employees but not to shareholders. So in a broad way, we are committed to continuing to grow the business and overall shareholder value for the shareholders. I think that's a broad promise that we made, like any other company, to our shareholders. There was a question on interest payment and who's the interest paid to. This is not any real interest paid. This is the way lease rentals are exhibited as part of the Ind AS accounts reporting. So there is no real borrowing and absolute amount of interest paid to any lender. There was a follow-on question that growth has been small in a few years. In 1 year, it was 28%, but in the other recent years, it has been small. Typically, almost over 85%, close to 90% of our revenues come from the mutual funds business. That market is like a step market. Growth will happen in a single year, and then there may be a flat market for the next 2 years. So it's a step market. It's not a steady revenue growth market every year. The important metric, therefore, is to look at the compounded average growth rate of revenues and profits. And over a period of time, you will see that this is in healthy double digits in mid-teens. There was a question on return on capital employed is declining. The answer is the same as on return on equity. There was a question on employee cost going up. And that is the reality in today's business. You will see that employees have to be paid a competitive salary. The salary needs a review and increment, typically once in a year. But for select employees, we may do off-market cycles. We've been onboarding employees in a variety of contemporary and required skills in the area of cloud computing, analytics, programming, AI, ML, risk, security, all of those areas. And then there is some ESOP cost as a part of the overall employee cost, which shows you that employee cost has gone up and the reason for that. I'm moving on. There was a question that dividend paid is less if you compare the 2 years. The dividend quantum is almost the same, 185 versus 188 crore. And as you know, for the last quarter, the dividend has still not been paid out. It will be paid out in the current cycle in this month. There was a question on why are there some states and some union territories which we have not covered. We are typically present in over 270 offices, over 200 unique locations across the country. There are some states and some union territories where the current size of the business and the near-term future potential, the next 2 or 3 year potential, does not kind of befit or require opening up of a new branch. So places like Arunachal, Mizoram, Lakshadweep, Daman and Diu are the places where we are not present. But we continuously evaluate our physical footprint and take decisions on opening up new offices basis immediate business potential. There was a question on business expanding but employee count falling. As you know, that we have been on a digitization and automation drive. Most of our back office processes are now significantly automated. Some are fully automated. Most of our transaction sourcing and acceptance, etc., is now, a lot of it is 85 to 90% digital. As we move in that direction, newer and newer skills are onboarded in the company. Sometimes some of the manual functions are eliminated, and the physical headcount may fall. That is a manifestation that you are seeing right now. Moving on, there was a question on some subsidiaries not being profitable right now, especially CAMS Rep, CAMS Finserv, and Fintuple. Some of the subsidiaries are scaling up and the businesses are new. Fintuple is a new business. CAMS Finserv is a new business. CAMS Rep has been an established business and is still scaling to get to a critical mass. You've seen that scaled businesses are able to deliver handsome EBITDAs. We expect that these 3 subsidiaries will also scale up over the coming year or 2 and will get closer and closer to break-even point and then to positive margin contribution. There was one question from Mr. Saraf on WR56, which we have noted separately, and we will see what we can do to alleviate the pain for sharing with you details of non-KYC customers or how we can make this report available to you. So that we'll perhaps deal separately one-on-one, given it's a business requirement. Moving on how much is our ESG effort? Do we have a rating? The answer is yes. We have a CRISIL rating at a score of 57, which is a rating of adequacy right now. We are at par with the best in the country in terms of scores on governance. On the question relating to deployment of AI, ML, blockchain, etc., all these capabilities, techniques, technologies are being deployed in your business today. You saw a mention on the 10-minute KYC, where a person's photograph, name, and other details are matched between 2 different sources on the fly. All this is done using our AI algos built in-house. So these are very popular means of technology deployment within the company. Who's the next MF RTA after CAMS? There is a company called KFintech, which is the other MF RTA. In terms of, there was a question on overall PMS revenue. Indicatively, PMS and AIF, which constitute one segment, which is alternatives, our overall revenue is about 3.5% of company revenue. So that's the range in which those product lines yield revenue. The next question was on CAMS Rep, that we hold a 40% share. And what is our overall income? Our overall income from insurance, both repository and non-repository, which is outsourcing, is in the range of 2% of company revenue. There was a follow-on question on physically and mentally challenged employees and how many of them are women. Overall, in the mass of employees, 16 employees are with that description. Of the 16, 5 are women. There was a question on total 800 plus technology staff and the approximate attrition. Attrition amongst the technology staff has been in excess, slightly in excess of 20%, about 23%. And that's reflective of how the market behaved in the last year. There was a question again on how nomination can be done easily by Ms. Celestine, and we will be talking to you separately just so that we can enable anything that needs to be done either on the KYC assistance or a nomination from you. There was a question on ETF and their influence, whether ETFs will be a threat. ETFs as a percentage of the overall mutual funds market, especially the retail ETFs, are a small single-digit percentage today. Over a period of time, they will scale. As they scale, we are completely geared up to service ETF customers. ETF pricing can be different to normal active equity or active fund pricing. But within that, it's a competitive area of work, and we are well prepared to service our customers profitably in that area. There was a requirement to provide a breakup of revenues of various businesses, and this has been done. This has been done in the annual report. We will see how to make the schedule more informative. There was a question on AIF and PMS and what's our market share. In the AIF and PMS arena, unlike the mutual funds arena, only some entities outsource. We have 50% of the market share of the outsourced entities. So whatever they outsource, we have 50% that size. The question on DigiLocker as a competition to insurance repository. DigiLocker is a document storage capability where you can store your PAN card, Aadhaar, school certificates, driving license, insurance certificates also. Insurance repository is a direct engagement tool of a consumer with multiple insurers, both life and general, and the ability to transact over a period of time to pay premiums, to mark a power of attorney, mark a lien, borrow monies, make non-financial transactions, etc. A variety of services and interaction themes are available. So to that extent, insurance repository as an offering is significantly richer and significantly broader in terms of benefits and value. Why MF investments held in DMAT mode are not available in MF Central? They actually are. When you look at your cash and your account statement, you will see both ETF and DMAT holdings. DMAT holdings only for mutual funds, not for stocks. In terms of being able to do non-financial transactions, the accepted mode is because the primary holding of the record is with the DP and the depository. The non-financial transaction for DMAT is to be done with the DPs itself. While it's a very noble thought to bring it into the capabilities of MF Central. As you know, MF Central is a mutual fund focused app and utility. And therefore, there is no current plan to bring non-financial transactions for depositories or DP accounts into MF Central. That work will remain with the depositories and with the DPs. Is MF Central available only for Android, not for iOS? It's been available for both iOS and Android since the beginning. If there's specific set of issues encountered, we are happy to help to assist you download the iOS app and start working on that. There was a question on employee turnover and why employee turnover is high. Is it comparable to the ITS industry? Aside from our call center, which is perhaps a little like a BPO offering, if you see the rest, our overall employee attrition is 27%. This is much lower than comparable ITS attrition, which is typically in the range of 40 to 45%. There was a question on TR changes, which we've answered in terms of what the future regulatory trend could be. And what is the state of the consultative paper as we stand right now. With this, I hope that the questions posed by the speaker shareholders have been answered to their satisfaction. We come to the conclusion of this 35th annual general meeting of the company. I will now take this opportunity to thank all of you for your unstinted support to the company. And I will request our chairman for his closing remarks. Thank you.
I thank all the shareholders for your active participation and for your faith in us and the constant support for CAMS. With this, the meeting concludes.